Yeah, I mean, this is what else I want to make the point on air, but I'm going to say it to you guys right now. Hands down, the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
Same here.
Jesus. The worst.
Same here. I'm sorry. That it's 10 times worse, and I'll give you my rating when we get there.
What's going on, everybody? It's your resident nerd, Lance, and I'm hanging out with Gabe and the Jedi Troll. Welcome to the first episode of Terrible Movie Club. Brought to you by Absurd Words from Your Preferred Nerds. Had to retitle this because Bad Movie Club just did not do it justice. On today's episode, we will be talking about the 1989 film Robo Vampire 3. A.K.A. Counterattack. A.K.A. What was it? Counter what? Counterattack. A.K.A. The Vampire is Still Alive. Directed by Godfrey Ho. What does he go by?
Edgar Jare.
Edgar Jare is his name in this movie.
Edgar.
The great Godfrey Ho. Notorious for making terrible movies, stealing footage from other movies, stealing music from other movies, and changing his name for every movie. Steve, you want to give us some information about this movie?
Well, the synopsis of this movie, first of all, this is the finale of the Robo Vampire trilogy. So the third film. To correct my companion here, the first two movies were directed by Joe Livingston. And this movie, which is different tonally than the first two, is directed by Edgar Jare. So, some of the movie is a little bit different than you're expecting, but it does have some of the same elements. But according to the synopsis, if you read it on IMDb, it's sort of vague, but that's good because there's a lot to cover. It doesn't spoil anything. Joyce rents a old haunted home to pen her horror script, which releases an army of vampires, a knife-wielding demon, and a battalion of otherworldly creatures. Which is fair, but there's a lot more to it than that, which we will discuss. So to start off the movie, we learn about Joyce, who is a screenwriter in Hollywood. Although she's in Hong Kong or somewhere in the East. And she's going off to write a script for a big film about the last emperor of China. Now this movie was in, what year, Lance?
It was
89.
89 was the release year.
89. So, apparently there's a bunch of competing studios wanting to write this film about the last emperor. So, that'll come into play in the film. But the first part of this movie is her and her friend, Joyce and her friend Cindy, who, they're best buds. They're great. And it's about their journey to go to the house and write this epic screenplay. So what did you guys think of the setup? What did you guys think of the setup to this?
Well, I mean, right out the gate, it was the worst dubbing of the trilogy, the voiceover dubbing, the ADR work. Cindy sounded like a man, and the Taoist priest, who's crucial to the story, sounded like Steve Urkel, Jaleel White.
Oh my god.
Like, hey everybody, I'm the Taoist priest, me. Or like Andy Samberg doing an impression of Steve Urkel.
It was very bad.
Yes.
I mean, it's just terrible. And when it first came on, I 100% knew I clicked on something wrong and did not think I was watching Robo Vampire 3. And it looked like it was shot in 1920 or 1910 or the 1800s.
It was in color.
It doesn't matter. The camera work looked like a home video.
So the camera work looked like an 1800s movie.
1700s. Let's go that far.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was that bad. It's well, but yeah, I thought I was watching something different.
Steve gave us the heads up that it might take up until about 35 minutes into the movie for things to really pick up, but he didn't warn us that the first 5 minutes of the movie would feel like the wrong movie because it felt like it had nothing to do with robots, vampires, or ninjas.
And it didn't look nearly as good as the other films, and they were bad.
Yeah. This was a significant step down on a technical level.
The third film, and it steps down further.
Do not tap on the table. Did you not watch our last episode of Bad Movie Club with the M audio microphone on there? If you tap on the table, it sounds like somebody is running on the ceiling.
To be fair, since there seems to be a difference of opinion about this film, the movie started off with great music.
God, that music over the opening credits, what the hell was that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know where he stole the music from. So
It sounded terrible. It was like this easy listening, folk rock or something. I have no idea.
But it was a laid-back scene just to introduce the characters, so it fit.
Don't agree with that.
So, in the car ride to the airport, as we meet Joyce and Cindy, we find out, we get a hint at their friendship, their closeness, and the fact that Joyce has a monumental task of delivering a huge, major script for a movie, which I can tell you is not an easy thing to do.
You're an expert in this field?
Now, and also to your point, again, as I said, Joe Livingston directed the first two movies in this. So Edgar Jarre did the third one, this one. So it's going to be tonally, it's going to be a little bit different.
This is the argument that Godfrey Ho is going to use a different alias depending on the style and tone of the movie?
Godfrey Ho has directed some pictures, but none of these three. So we, they go to the island, and yes, there is a Taoist, because that is one of the common themes of this franchise.
Yeah, I think you referred to it as the Taoist trilogy.
It's basically like the Jedi in Star Wars. It's the belief that joins that keeps the trilogy going. And yes, this Taoist may have been the weakest one of the three, I admit, because there's different ones in all three. But then at the end of the opening act, we also learn that this is going to be a horror film, because their driver
Don't tell me
meets
about the telephone.
meets an unexpected end.
Killer telephone.
Yes.
So, the Taoist, I was trying to figure it out while I was watching it, but the footage is obviously not of the best quality. Was he blind in one eye, or did he have like a Peter Falk lazy eye kind of thing?
It was like a lazy eye.
Okay.
Did you see when he was smoking, doing his martial arts, and he kept going?
Yes.
I was like, why? Why?
He was clearly going for a comedy when nobody else was.
And it failed.
Because he was hamming everything up. Everybody else was underacting everything or overacting.
To be fair, in most films, there's always some sort of comic relief that take away from the
I will say
dramatic parts of
the
it.
Cindy and Joyce portion of the story truly felt like it was out of a really, really bad Nightmare on Elm Street knockoff. Every time she'd doze off, something would happen, and she'd wake up, and something would be affected by it. Mm-hmm. But it was like she was dreaming it, like Nightmare on Elm Street.
What about the? It's still in the first act.
Yeah, still in the first.
The skull on the string.
That's when you knew that this was like a scary movie. This is not. The first two movies were action packed and believable. This one was more. Oh, like I'm just like I'm scared. Like turn the lights on. This is not. This is a scary movie.
Yeah, the friggin' skull just... this hollowed out plastic skull just moving across the ground like that. Looks really bad.
And then he goes, what? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, no.
So, as is a trademark of this storied franchise, this movie just doesn't take one theme and try to stretch it out over an hour and a half. There are different elements. Sort of like if you've ever seen the movie, say, or the TV show Fargo. There's a lot of different subplots that eventually like tie all in together. So this is basically what this was.
Don't agree with that.
Have you seen the Fargo TV series?
I'm saying for this
Have you
film.
seen the Fargo TV series?
No.
I've seen every episode.
No,
of
I'm
Fargo
asking
TV
the
series.
person who said.
This Robo Vampire 3 has zero to do with the other ones.
Well, we'll get to
So
that.
it's not different. It doesn't make... I don't know.
Then we meet up with Lawrence and Dixon. Now, Lawrence is a movie producer. He's the one that has hired Joyce to write this major motion picture. He does dress like Steve Irwin, if anybody remembers Crocodile Hunter. And Dixon will come into play in a huge way later on in the film. But we meet that subplot because he has a vested interest on them being able to have success, because obviously he's probably put like hundreds of $1 million into this Last Emperor film that she's going to write. So we have that. And then, again, another storied part of this franchise is that we have another subplot, which might seem, at first viewing, is unrelated, but again, it ties back in. Where we meet Jackie, who is a tough-as-nails private investigator, who is assigned to make sure that all these rival movie studios, because there's, 5, 6 studios, trying to do the same movie.
Jackie seems pretty comfortable with murder for a private investigator.
Jackie does have a license to kill, unlike most PIs.
Mm-hmm.
But she's probably like, I don't know, she's like she reminds me of like Pam Grier characters from the 70s.
She did have like the perm kind of thing going on.
But just tough, don't want to mess with her. Because now, at this point in the movie, we start getting to the seedy side of Hollywood, the cutthroat industry, where you start getting like multiple productions of movies, like, Dante's Inferno and Volcano.
Dante's Peak.
Yes, thank you.
Great movie.
Deep Impact and Armageddon.
Great movies.
Ants in a Bug's Life.
Yes,
Nah.
Ants in a Bug's Life. Because Hollywood is all about copycat. Try to get your product out first, and you'll win.
Quite ironic that we talk about copycat films when we're discussing a film called Robo Vampire 3, which has poster art of RoboCop, which came out several years prior.
However, we will get a version of RoboCop later on in the film. Now, at this point, it dawned on me, and I don't know, it could also dawn on my comrades here that that this film was maybe based on true events. Because just 2 years earlier, at the Academy Awards, The Last Emperor won 9 Academy Awards and it was a movie about the last emperor of China. I know everybody caught that reference when we were watching it. And I just can't help but think that there was probably like multiple studios trying to do this 2 years before, and this was incorporated into the script. And maybe some, if not all, the elements were true. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no. I think they used the idea of it being based on the last emperor of China as an excuse to incorporate white actors into footage shot in China.
Well,
because more so than any of the other films in the trilogy, because we established last time on air that Godfrey Ho buys the rights to existing films, not always from his native China, but from Thailand and other countries as well, and stitches them together with footage he's shot involving ninjas, vampires, robots, etc., to form his films.
Seamlessly, I might add.
This one, more so than either of the other films, felt like it was jumping around between 3 or 4 separate movies that had nothing to do with each other and made very little effort to hide it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, yeah.
So we meet Jackie, and Jackie like just straight up kills a couple people like in the first 10 minutes that we see her.
Yeah.
She shoots a guy who basically deserved it because he's accosting a woman on the street. And then, but she runs into one of the other producers of the rival movie and takes him out in the bathroom.
With a miniature crossbow.
You do have to wonder what movies her footage comes from and what she's actually doing. She's clearly not a private eye in whatever movie that's from, and it's not about taking out rival film producers. These are probably drug lords or human traffickers, something more worthy of murder. But it's just so absurd, the idea that they're trying to make this about filming a movie, or writing a movie even. They're not even at filming yet. And then she's just going around straight up murdering people over.
Walks in the bathroom like it's nothing. Miniature crossbow. Shoots him in the eyeball.
So then we do get back to
Joyce and Cindy.
Yeah. And Joyce has a bad dream with we'll call him our protagonist, the main ghost vampire.
He's the protagonist?
I'm sorry, the antagonist.
Okay, I was going to say he's not good.
Unless.
Who bears a striking... I don't know which came out first, but he's a ghost vampire who appears in your dreams, and he has blades for his hand.
See, this is where I was going when I mentioned that it was a blatant Nightmare on Elm Street knockoff. He attacks in dreams, and he has knives for fingers.
But when did Nightmare on Elm Street come out?
I'd have to check the actual year. It's mid-'80s, I'd assume.
So before this one?
Probably.
I guarantee it.
Well, there goes my theory. But we don't know when this was filmed, so some of the script could have leaked.
I'm sure all of Godfrey's actual footage was shot a day before it came out, with zero post-production or editing.
So again, this scene talks about the horror aspect, and we're going down like a very dark path that the other two films didn't in the first series. So did you guys enjoy the horror aspect of this?
You mean like little things like the painting on the wall and then the one eyeball that goes ding, 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 and they lit it up just so you could see it really good? Stuff like that. And then the blood randomly appearing in her drink from the soda can.
Oh, this tastes funny. This is a weird tasting soft drink.
Oh, what is this? Cindy. So, okay. I did not enjoy the whole.
I don't believe the Cindy and Joyce thread of the movie was its strongest point.
Agreed. No, there was the horror aspect was awful.
Okay, well then back to the cutthroat world of motion pictures. Jackie's assistant is kidnapped, and she has to go to his house to get her back, and then she kills him. Very originally, I might add, by cutting him on his hand, and then he becomes metastasized, like almost immediately.
Yeah, I was confused as to what was going on there. I don't know what the plot of that movie was, but there was something going on.
And then, like, she gets the assistant back, Fanny, and they go to a nightclub, and they're talking, and then they meet up with Jackson, who is the other baddie in this film. He's a movie producer, which is probably he's probably a precursor to Harvey Weinstein.
I feel like Godfrey Ho must have been rejected by some film studios at some point, because he's just painting film producers as like the most vile, evil scum of the earth, and they should just be blatantly murdered.
Again, this is an Edgar Jarre film. And then they're, Jackie and Fanny are in a diner, and there's some trouble going on, and there's a couple of guys there that luckily are cops.
Luckily.
Paul and Joe. And of course, every cop in Hong Kong or China knows Kung Fu.
Well, I mean,
especially in these movies.
Obviously. You got to.
So, what do you think about the Hollywood subtext of this film? The really dark side of movie making.
It was portrayed kind of like throw up.
I don't know.
Gabe did not enjoy this movie at all, I am gathering.
No.
I don't know. I can see some of these. I can see like Jerry Bruckheimer doing things like this.
It would have been better.
No, like kidnapping people and.
What do you think, Lance?
I don't have responses for trying to make sense of things in this movie. Steve is giving this film far more credit than it deserves.
And in-depth analysis,
Yes.
where it's just...
I don't think anyone making this movie had put as much thought into it as our dear Jedi troll friend.
Yeah.
So at this point, the movie is a little bit slow and trotting. And even my friends here felt like they should turn the movie off. And
At the very beginning, I thought I should turn the movie off and just read about it.
And I told them that at about the 35-minute mark, business is about to pick up. And boy, did it. As we go back to Lawrence and Dixon, Lawrence, of course, being the producer of the film, they're worried about their film being a hit, so they go to a fortune teller who has a bird who can predict the future.
The bird is the best fucking actor in the whole damn movie.
Well, he hopped out of his little cage, did his thing, presumably in one take, and then just hopped back in.
He was given a treat for his troubles, too.
He was. He got paid handsomely.
Polly got
And
a
he
cracker.
got to do it twice. This happened?
Yep, Polly got a cracker.
Now, as we talked about Dixon earlier, Dixon... We didn't know much about Dixon. But then he goes to check on Joyce, and he's attacked by the vampires that the Taoist has, because in every one of these films, we have vampires.
Yeah, and then he magically turns into Storm Shadow from G.I. Joe.
He basically does a Wonder Woman spin around on a tree to turn into the White Ninja.
It's like Power Rangers, yeah. It's
Storm Shadow from G.I. Joe wore white, so...
So at this point, it's on now. Now we're invested.
It comes out of nowhere with absolutely no context, and it's never explained, really,
ever.
who he is or what these powers are.
If he's actually a robot or if it's literally, I don't know.
He wasn't a robot. He was a white ninja. Which he was holding his own against the vampires. But then once he became the ninja, it was over. Except that there was a Hulk-like zombie as well.
Yeah, what was up with the Hulk zombie?
Well,
Why not?
As he walked, like explosions happened at his
The
feet.
ground sparked in his footprints. Randomly.
But the two vampires,
Vicious. Teeth down to here.
no teeth in front of them like this. And
Actually, they
flat.
were
kept
plastic.
moving.
Actually,
during
they
the
were
movie.
plastic teeth.
They look like paper. They look.
They were probably like a thin
paper.
plastic
They were
disposable cup
biting on
cut into shape.
headache. But yes, Hulk zombie, and the vampires were zombies in this, more so than the other ones. Eat. I mean,
Well, no, that's not true. You said in the first one that they just ate and.
yeah, he ate a piece, but these guys just
Yeah, they're not doing the typical vampires drinking
no,
blood thing.
they
They're
just
eating
eating
flesh and organs and.
with their paper teeth. Their flat paper teeth that every scene they're like this. Like the teeth were. Okay.
So, after Dixon becomes the White Ninja and disposes of the vampires,
And gets sued by Hasbro for stealing Storm Shadow.
we go back to the horror element, and we have Cindy and Joyce in a pool scene, which is next to like the Exorcist scene. It's probably one of the most scary scenes ever filmed in cinema history. Wouldn't you all agree?
No.
No.
The vampire slowly plodding across the pool.
But then he jumps out of the pool onto the side of the pool, which is amazing.
They somehow managed to take two bikini-clad women and make it the least attractive thing in the movie, really. I'd rather look at
The vampires with flat teeth.
flat-teeth vampires or hulking zombies
With sparkles out of his feet.
or any of that than for some reason these two women in bikinis
Or the credits at the beginning of the film.
with the easy listening music.
But then as Cindy and Joyce split up, and I knew then that it was going to get like really bad, because in horror movies, once you split up, nothing good comes of that.
He is right.
So Cindy ran into like the vampire and got like slashed on her back by the blade hand.
Cindy, naughty girl, where has she gone?
But then,
That's some of the dialogue you can expect if you watch this film.
but she got over her injuries pretty quick. I mean, she ran away in horror, but then she was okay. It didn't seem to hurt her after.
No, she was just casually shooting the shit with friggin' Joyce back at the room, the hotel or whatever.
But then when they finally met back up in the pool area, Joyce seemed a little bit weird. Something seemed off about Joyce. She was like she was possessed or something.
Real quick, where you were talking about that dialogue
Yes.
when they were back at the apartment or the house. Remember when she goes looking for Cindy, and she has no pants on and just a long shirt, and she's wandering the entire city.
Yeah, just walking around out there.
Cindy, and just. Okay, I just have to bring that up.
I mean, if you want to talk about the dialogue in this movie, I believe it was Lawrence when he's first telling Jackie, when we first introduced to Jackie, and he's about his driver missing, or whatever, the guy that gets killed at the phone. And Lawrence, with his terribly dubbed Australian accent, has this clunker of a line. He's got no enemies because I brought him from abroad. Any other obvious questions?
Yeah.
No one has enemies if you come to a new continent.
He's got no enemies because I brought him from abroad. Brought him from abroad. He didn't buy him. He wasn't a slave, but that we know of. We don't really get to know much about him before he's killed by a landline telephone.
He wouldn't have been killed if it was a cordless phone.
No?
Where did the
Well, the antenna might have stabbed his eyes.
where did the skull go?
The one that rolls or is dragged away slowly by a piece of fishing line?
That's following them.
I don't know. Just like many other things in this movie, it's a plot hole.
It's like this big thing when the skull just starts following them, and then that's it. Done. I don't remember.
Is the skull the thing?
He's
or-
one of the two vampires. He's one of the Taoist two vampires. He just went off to do reconnaissance.
Don't remember that.
He had two skulls. He has two vampires.
So I've got a feeling, Steve,
brought
when
him
you
to
watch
life.
one of these bad movies, that maybe as a coping mechanism, your brain is writing a better movie that makes more sense in its head, and that's how you're rationalizing these terrible things.
You just have to, as you're watching it, you pay attention to detail, and then put two and two together. Two skulls, two vampires.
But they don't officially tell us that.
No, they don't show anything. They don't even hint at it. It's
That like the skull is like gone. Like they don't. Was he invisible? Do they have the power of invisibility? Is that who strangled the guy? Was the skull?
I think
the
we
vampire?
watched. I think we possibly watched a edited cut, which cut out some of the key scenes. So it might be. Hopefully, if they release a director's cut of this film, we'll be able to find out more information.
I don't
Maybe some
Edgar Jare's director's cut.
I think he filmed it, and that was it. I don't think
I
he
think there was
edited.
literally no post-production.
I don't think he left anything out.
This movie
Whatever
came
was
out
on there, it was
on like
on there.
January 1st of 1989. It was filmed on December 31st of 1988.
Which part? Because there's three different movies.
Edgar Ho's footage, Godfrey Ho, aka Edgar Jare's footage. That footage, not the movies that he repurposed footage from.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So you're talking about Lawrence. Now, then the movie takes it like a huge turn because we had Fanny, the assistant, being kidnapped, and now they've taken the art director. So Lawrence goes to the police station and is all upset. The police are trying to explain that it's an ongoing investigation, not to calm down. So then Joyce, the PI, goes and gives like a flower bomb to one of the other people and blows up and kills another person.
Because that's what PIs do. They place bombs and flowers and kill people.
I know. It's a retread of many of the Magnum PI episodes from the 80s. I get it. But then the next time we see Joyce, she is like taken over by the ghost of the vampire, and actually, should we spoil it?
Spoil everything, please.
She kills Cindy, which was a sad scene.
She did kill Cindy.
Yeah. So, when that hand comes up and Joyce is beating that hand with the friggin' pillow and the pillow's shredding because it's got claws on it, I swear the dubbing on her voice sounded like it was lifted straight out of a porn. She's like, ah, 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 ah. And it's like on repeat and just goes on for like 2 minutes.
Well, same thing with when she was walking around trying to find Cindy. Before that, when it was dark, she was like something like a rat would run by, and she'd be like, oh.
Well, that was the weird thing about the dubbing in this movie is rather than just dubbing dialogue and necessary sounds, like if someone hits you and you go, ugh, like they must have like had them mic'd watching the entire movie, or at least the scenes that they're in, and dubbing, because they have like breathing and like like these weird little incidental noises that they're making to accompany like actions. They turn their head and they're like, huh? Like for everything, and like the Foley sound effects that they use on like their walking don't match the surfaces that they're walking on at all. Like it's carpet and someone's foot sounds like.
Or it's rock and it sounds like bubble wrap.
Yeah, it's the most incompetently made movie I have ever seen in my life.
It's terrible.
If we're going to talk about this anymore, this is not going to do it. I need something with alcohol. Courtesy of my local Aldi.
So on that note, we get to like the biggest action scene of the movie, which is the police and Lawrence decide to. They find out that Jackson has a boat with these kidnapped people on it, and they decide to raid it in a huge, like, raid scene. Probably one of the best scenes I've seen.
So what was Jackie's assistant's name?
Fanny.
Fanny. Why was the one cop crying over Fanny when it seemed like he had just met her? Oh, I love that girl.
Love at first sight. It happens in a lot of films.
Like, it just seemed like out of nowhere.
It was out of place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming the footage that like they were a couple or whatever in the footage that was used, but
The director's cut.
in the actual film that we are watching, they don't have an existing relationship that we know of.
But there's a huge gunfight. It's probably like Michael Bay-ish type of rescue scene.
John Woo.
Yes. And so we end that. So that storyline is now over.
It was like right out of Equilibrium.
So now we get to the final 10 minutes, which is maybe the best 10 minutes of cinema ever recorded.
The movie truly just goes batshit crazy in the last 10 minutes. Like, the movie was slow, boring, and stupid before this point. Like,
And then they literally just throw everything at it.
like every little scene, action beat that they could think of, every little weird and crazy thing, like, hey man, why don't we just do that? And like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
They realized they had 10 minutes left to film, so...
So like with the last film, when it was like less than 10 minutes left and they were still gearing up for their final battle, this one, the last 10 minutes, just like, yeah, any little idea that we had jotted down on a note paper, do it.
The trilogy is about to end. We need to wrap it up.
Oh,
So
man.
Dixon goes to see Joyce, and she turns into the Freddy vampire,
They call him the Vampire Beast or something like that?
Yes.
Vampire Beast.
who was is harking back to the first movie, I think. But and of course Dixon, who could turn into the White Ninja, realizes that the Vampire Beast is more matched than the Hulk zombie or the vampire, so he has to go full RoboCop.
He literally turns into the fucking RoboCop from the first Robo Vampire. Same suit and everything.
And
With
if
a
you've
big
seen,
ass
have you seen
gun.
RoboCop 1 and 2, it's the same thing as well.
But I do say it does look better. This suit.
Maybe it's just the lighting.
Maybe. That's
It's
one
not
thing
shot
I
out in
give
a
it.
jungle
though.
or something. It's
But when he's looking for her, another dialogue, just like, Joyce's, he's like, Joyce, 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 Joyce.
yeah. Like you'd think if you're shooting a more competent film where you're searching for somebody, it's Joyce, and then 5-10
You
seconds
gotta be
of
quiet. 'cause
looking around, you're waiting for a response,
You got
trying to track somebody or looking for
Nightmare on
somebody.
Elm Street though, so you gotta be more quiet.
Joyce,
Joyce,
like you're not.
Joyce, because he didn't want Freddy Krueger popping out. Yeah, it'd be scary.
No, Freddy's gonna get you in your dreams anyway.
Well, so does Joyce.
So
Apparently.
So RoboCop has his hands full with the Vampire Freddy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then it gets
And
real.
then the hopping vampires show back up.
No,
And
that.
and they attack Joyce. But then in something that I wasn't expecting.
Biggest twist.
If you've ever seen the movie Alien, it was sort of like that.
Except she was arching her back and pushing her stomach out.
Yeah,
Joyce gives birth
Yeah, she becomes pregnant and gives birth in one scene. Her belly descends
in about 30 seconds.
and then opens up.
But to pure fans of the franchise, it is the fan favorite kid from Robo Vampire 2 that pops out.
Yeah, he pops out as I don't want to say fully grown, but a grown
He's
child.
a grown kid, yeah.
Yeah. Not a baby.
Not a baby.
child.
Grown kid with clothes on.
Yeah.
Full clothes. Hat.
Talking
Talking.
and pissing on people.
He did
part.
He did attack the vampires with some golden showers. It looked like.
My
That's
God,
basically
they look
what it-
up, and he's in a corner, and he's going, ha ha ha, just peeing on the other two vampires. Yes, peeing. A kid, fully clothed, out of her stomach.
At least he's potty trained.
Pees on these. Not if he's peeing on people.
No, like literally when we say the movie just loses its shit and goes crazy in the last 10 minutes, like you introduce out of
He
nowhere.
lost his piss and went crazy, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Because that's what he did.
Like, you, out of nowhere, you bring back the Robo Vampire from the first movie.
Second,
The Robo Vampire, the RoboCop, whatever we want to call him, the RoboCop.
well, technically, the RoboCop from the first movie was a robot because
Well, it's
'Cause he was-
it's the same premise, the same
Outfit.
costume, same outfit, whatever.
They
you wanna
said,
call
let's
it.
not make a new one. Let's just grab the old one. I
And
still
which
have it in my
previously
closet.
we'd only seen it. What's his name? Dixon
Yes.
turn into a white ninja, Storm
Right.
Shadow from G.I.
we didn't
Joe.
know that he had the power to turn into a
So
robot.
he could not only turn into Storm Shadow, but he can now turn into RoboCop.
We get to finally see a Robo,
Yeah,
but
because
not really a Robo.
because the
in
movie-
Robo Vampire 3.
because the movie wouldn't have made sense had he not turned into a RoboCop.
Right, but the last minutes, we want to see more of him.
So he turns into this robot, and he starts shooting vampires and shit. And then the little kid vampire starts pissing on other vampires. It just throwing everything at the friggin' wall, just shitting in your hand, throwing it at the wall,
And
seeing what
everything is
sticks.
sticking. Everything is
How about
sticking.
Joyce's stomach? It was fun. And that sucker ripped straight out of her, fully clothed.
Because the demon was, you know,
I mean, it showed at first.
yeah.
And then, Joyce is good. I mean,
Yeah, that's the other thing. Joyce is just fine at the end.
The demon was exorcised, so she reverted back to
So
how she was.
if it undid everything, is Cindy alive? I don't think they didn't say that. Cindy was still dead.
No, no, we're getting to that part. Cindy is,
Well, no.
Yeah, there's a grave.
but did you finish
There's a
it?
grave.
Well,
Did you finish it?
yeah, but
There's
I don't
a
think
grave.
that was Cindy's
There
hand.
is-
It was Freddy Krueger's fucking hand.
Exactly, but that's
like
still
the end of
But it was Cindy's body.
Jason Goes to Hell.
So
Cindy.
again, spoiler
Yeah,
alert. At the end, there's a very touching funeral scene, which made me think of Endgame and the Tony Stark scene.
God in heaven.
With Cindy's name written on a tombstone rather than
Written
engraved.
On this
And then
and never knowing if Joyce was able to finish the script or not.
That's the real tragedy.
And then, as you think the trilogy is ending, as they walk away from the grave after paying their respects, which you guys clearly aren't,
and a very slow pan.
all of a sudden a bladed hand starts breaking out, giving you hope that there's a Robo Vampire 4, but as to this date, there's not.
We cannot tell you if there will be another one or not.
But there deserves to be a reboot. It's been long enough to where we can reboot this franchise.
Reboot or another sequel?
So I do want to. This was hands down the worst movie I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I have to agree.
I've watched plenty of bad movies on my own. We've watched. This is now episode 6, I believe, of our bad movie club, and these were all bad movies. This was the worst movie I've ever seen.
It wasn't bad. It was terrible. It was everything about it. I mean,
Terrible movie club. Never gonna do this again.
I will never, ever in my entire life watch that film again. Movie, not film.
Piece of shit.
To offer a counter argument, I put this in my top 5 movie trilogies of the 80s.
My God. There's gum there.
Yeah. I was so flabbergasted by the audacity of your comment that I almost spilled my beverage.
Name 5 better movie trilogies in the 80s.
In the 80s? Let's see. Star Wars.
No.
Two of them were in the 80s.
Yeah, we're just going with the 80s.
Back to the Future.
That's 1.
Indiana Jones.
That's 2.
RoboCop.
No.
Amen.
The 3 are in the 80s, are they not? Or is the third one in the 90s?
Third's in the 90s, I thought.
Shit. There's got to be at least 3 Star Trek movies in the 80s, right? Wrath of
Yes,
Khan,
but we're
Search for
going
Spock.
trilogies. Like there were more than like.
I'm
this.
sure there's
Star Trek was
lots.
more than a trilogy.
They're just not popping in our heads this moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you said top 5. What are your top 5 trilogies?
Well, there's only 5.
Oh, okay.
There is Indiana Jones, like
Yes.
before mentioned.
Amen.
Back to the Future.
No, actually, Back to the Future is not.
What's the third
90
one?
is
Damn it.
the third one. Poltergeist. Porky's. And Shaolin Temple.
So those are the only
And Robo Vampire.
franchises that managed to get out all 3 of their
3
installments
trilogies in the decade.
So that it's by default in the top 5. Because even if it's the
It
worst,
doesn't matter how it got there. It would have been there.
it was 3 films released within 3 years, and
Churning out high quality films in a short period of time.
no, they did not. This was the worst, the bottom of the barrel, most incompetent filmmaking I've ever seen. Like, just so bad. So bad.
So, I mean, the thing about this trilogy is it gave you different things in each film, yet were connected. So, like, of course, Taoists were a common theme. So was the Robo Cops. They were on. But you had 3 different Robo Cops.
We never even really technically got a RoboCop in the second film, which was actually the first film.
And technically...
Well, you had Tom in the first film.
Yeah.
He was a drug agent.
He was
who died.
actually a robot,
He was legitimately...
He's the only one that was a robot.
Like, Alex turned into a Robo.
No, he turned into like a superhero ninja thing.
He wasn't a robot.
And Dixon.
Dixon wasn't a robot.
Well, we don't know what he actually turned into, what the extent of his powers were. Maybe he did turn into a robot.
Okay.
And then
okay, I'll give you that.
And maybe he was a robot with
think
cybernetic
so,
parts underneath his human skin.
Maybe. I mean, she had Freddy Krueger living inside her, so yeah, it's possible. Okay, yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, just playing devil's advocate. Maybe
gotcha.
he was a RoboCop. But
Touche.
just the fact that he could change forms and shapeshift at a moment's notice and spin around, like, it's not established at all how he has his powers.
That's why we need an origin story.
So we need a Dixon origin story.
And an
Dixon
Alex and a
begins.
Tom. Well, we know Tom's origin.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't get anything for Alex either. We don't know how his powers come about, what he is, what. These, like I think these are the Godfrey Ho elements of the movies, with the ninjas, the robots, and the vampires.
And not
But
explaining.
he's still not explaining it. Yeah, because he's just padding it with footage from these other movies that give infinite subplots that are never really fleshed out either. Because he's using 20 minutes of this movie, 20 minutes of this movie, and
then
using
his own random crap.
and then he's filming like a total of probably 20 minutes of footage.
Yeah, if that.
No, they're. So like the best part of part 1 was the Ray and Wendy love story, obviously.
Best part was the end.
The second part had the redemption arc of Steve Cox.
And the best part of that one was the end.
And this one was a horror movie. So you had a love story, a redemption movie, and a horror movie.
And the best part of the third one is,
had-
before I even watched it, I wish I had not watched it.
You had 3 different genres of movie. You had a movie about drugs in the first one. The second movie was about gambling, like a casino type of movie.
Like Casino.
And this one is about the cutthroat business of of making movies. Everybody just thinks, oh, we'll just put a movie together, it'll be good, and everybody go see it. But there's a lot of cutthroat, killing, vampire stuff that happens behind the scenes that we don't get to realize most of the time.
Because he doesn't tell the stories. It's just scatterbrained.
You have 3 different unique villains. You have Mr. Young from the first movie, who's just a torturous, evil man.
Terrible villain.
Madame Mary, who's just she's a real bitch. She just took over. She didn't even she just inherited her empire. She didn't really do anything to
Stole it.
Yeah.
Steve Cox.
And then Jackson, the movie producer, who's like a who's basically Harvey Weinstein.
But is he really the villain of this movie? Because he's only involved in the subplot with the B characters that are never really part of the main story, really. And
If he hadn't been so evil, Joyce and Cindy wouldn't have had to go to some deserted island to write a screenplay. So yes, I feel like he was the instigator in all these events that happened.
no, the vampire beast was our villain from this movie.
But
The last movie did a better job of stitching together unrelated plots and making it seem like it was one movie. This distinctly felt like at least 2 different films. All the stuff with Jackie and I'm forgetting her fucking name again. What was her name?
Joyce, Cindy.
No, Jackie's assistant.
Fanny,
Everything with Jackie, Fanny, Joe, and what's the other cop's name?
Paul and Joe.
Paul and Joe. Everything with them is something completely different from what's going on with Joyce, Cindy, and then even, I guess to a lesser extent, Dixon and Lawrence. Their stuff seems more connected to this main story with Joyce and Cindy than it does with anything with Jackie, Fanny, Joe, and Paul, and all the other apostles.
But as I stated for the second one, and my compatriots here laughed at me. In the first movie, we had Peter and Christine, the vampire beast and the ghost, who were eternally going to be together.
Were they named
Yes,
in the actual first movie?
yes, Peter and Christine. So in the second movie,
Well, yeah, I did sleep through a lot of the first movie.
I don't remember that, and I didn't sleep through the first movie. I wish I had.
in the second movie, we saw young Peter and Christine. And then in this one, young Peter jumps out of Joyce's body.
So
And I don't know, the theater I was in, everybody just exploded in
the theater you were in your own mind.
it would have been a huge.
Does that make this a prequel to everything then? If we're seeing the birth of the Peter, was it the
Yes.
vampire werewolf gorilla guy?
Yes. So these movies chronologically come out 1, 2, 3, but they happen 3, 2, 1. So it's basically another Star Wars just debate all over again, what order to watch them.
Except Star Wars was actually good.
They came out 1, 2, 3. Chronologically, they go 3, 2, 1. But then filmed wise, they go
2, 1, 3.
2, 1, 3.
Again, there's going to be debate on what order you should watch them, but
Just don't.
Here's it. Yeah.
Don't. That's the simplest solution here. Don't watch these movies. The first one is on Prime. The second and third, you have to scour YouTube or whatever to find them. For good reason. They are fucking terrible.
they're all on YouTube.
If you watch
They're all on YouTube.
them,
Watch them
Well,
on
yeah, but I mean, the first one's on
watch
Prime,
the
so you
first
can.
and second.
They're trying to almost
Do not
legitimize
watch the
it
third.
as a real film,
Don't watch the third.
and it's not.
Do not watch the third movie. Sorry.
This the Cloverfield films. J.J. Abrams produced and written, or whatever he did. He produced it. But the first one, cool kaiju movie. Second one, this really awesome atmospheric thriller with sci-fi elements peppered in. Third one was a mess. But, this, like they're all loosely connected through themes and things, but not actually being the same story. I'd rather watch Cloverfield Paradox all day long than watch any of these three films.
Oh, yeah.
This third one shits the bed in a way I've never seen a trilogy drop off in the final installment.
Horrible.
It's just, I mean, I don't want to call it storytelling because I really don't think there was any method to the madness. I think it's just incompetence and laziness and cheapness.
They just threw it together.
Yeah. Everything's just thrown together.
Nothing had an ending.
So,
as you can see, it's hard to really tie up a trilogy and keep all the fans positive.
this is just from a technical level. The scene where I'm trying to remember. I won't be specific here because I wrote in my notes. Police car hits into that van or truck or whatever the hell it was. The sound effect that thing made sound like somebody crinkling a damn soda can or beer can. It was like the Foley effects in this are terrible. The dubbing in ADR is terrible.
Awful. The
Editing is sloppy and cheap and lazy.
There is no story.
No, there's no story because it's lifted from at least 2 films that we can tell, maybe more. Because I feel like some of the stuff with the actress who played Jackie and stuff was from different movies than... Because we get her interacting with some of our other characters, so I don't know how many films this steals footage from, but it's clearly at least 2, maybe 3 or 4.
I admit it is obvious that they started filming this on a limited budget before they knew how big the first 2 movies were.
What years do you think the footage is from? That they, the stuff of Jackie and Fanny and everything?
I'd say, back in biblical times.
Because, clearly, you'd have to assume all of Godfrey Ho's footage is probably current. It's probably 88, 89 when it was filmed. So their shit's probably from the mid-80s, 85, 82, even 84, 83, who knows?
It looks like someone went around with a cheap video camera and just...
Well, especially Godfrey stuff. There's weird close-ups on people. I don't know if they cropped footage to get other people out of the scenes because they're just dubbing dialogue
and
anyway.
And they zoom in right here and they're like... Blah.
This is so bad. So bad.
So bad.
I enjoy a drink once and again, but I might have a drinking problem after seeing this movie.
Unfortunately, we've reached the point where we have to give it a rating.
Are we there? Thank God. Gabe, on your patented no good rating system, which we have since established can have 0.5s and such, so you can give it a more specific rating. Where do you rate this on the no good?
So I'm going to open up my no good since it's a patent, and I'm going to expand the universe a little bit, and I give it a -10.
-10.
Your other one only went up to 5.
Yeah, well, this one's -10, so...
So does it go 10 in both directions now?
Yep.
So out of a possible positive 10, you have given it a -10.
-10. It's bad. It's terrible. Terrible. I didn't know what I watched after I was done. I was like, well... So there's answers that there's questions that I have about everything.
Oh, from a strictly entertainment value point of view, the last 10 minutes of the movie was more fun than the entire preceding hour and 20 minutes.
More fun, yes. Good, no.
No. Well, that's the thing. We're never going to really discuss anything on this channel that's good.
Well,
why am I here?
The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires.
Yeah, that's the anomaly here. I think that was, like I said, a mistake to some degree.
Yeah.
But from an entertainment point of view, that was watchable. The rest of the movie, the rest of the 120 minutes that preceded it, was utter garbage. It was the worst thing I've ever watched. And I would include YouTube fan films and shorts and stuff in with that. This was the most incompetently made, dubbed, sound effect. Everything about it was just
terrible.
Garbage.
Yeah. Out of place, terrible, no story. It was dog poo on a shoe.
And I can't recommend it on a so bad it's good level. Where I enjoyed the second one more than the first one because of competent fight scenes and things like that, this didn't have any of that.
Nothing.
They had nothing to redeem it except that last 10 minutes. You're better off going to YouTube, scrolling to the last 10 minutes of the movie and just watching that. And really, you're not missing anything else from the story.
Alright, so you're ready.
I'll go before Steve this time, because usually we go in the order.
Oh, okay.
You, Steve, Gabe. You, Steve, me. I'm going to give it a 1, which is the lowest grade. I'm not... Well, no, fuck it. 0.
Alright.
On a scale from 1 to 10, I go 0. That'll be the lowest I'll ever give. This is a 0. I don't think we're going to find anything worse than this.
No.
I hope we don't find anything worse than this, because if we do,
I
it's not going to get reviewed. You won't
ever
ever see me again. That's it. That's the end for me. If I find a worse movie than this, and I subject myself to the entire 90-plus minutes of it, or whatever it may be, that's it. I'm done.
I wanted to cut it off so bad.
Fucking done. Worst movie I've ever seen, 0 out of 10. Steve?
I give it a 4.
Out of 10?
If only because I'm not a horror movie fan. So
If only because.
I love I do love the...
If only because, you know.
As a movie fan, I did enjoy a lot the inner workings of how movies are made with the Hollywood back channels and kidnapping of other competing productions staff. It had the hopping vampires, which I fell in love with over the first 2 films. It had the action scenes with whether it was RoboCops, whether it was vampires, ninjas. It had all that, but as a horror fan, I'm not like
Big on it.
I'm just not that much of a horror fan.
Right.
Plus, I did feel like it's somewhat ripped off the Nightmare on Elm Street series in some aspects.
Agreed.
I felt like I'd seen it before.
100%. See? 100%.
The rest of the movie, I'd never seen it before.
But somebody that watched those movies the footage is from.
Yeah, so as you know, I give it a 4, and as a trilogy, because we just can't talk about it being one film. We have to talk about it as encompassing the entire
It had nothing
franchise.
to do with the other ones.
I give the franchise a 7.5, and I hope that someone gets the rights to where we can maybe redo this.
Because they were so bad?
No, it just needs to be updated in a more
Okay.
modern setting.
Put money on the fact that this is
I want
probably...
cordless phones instead of phones that have
So
cords.
that driver who has no enemies because he was brought in from abroad couldn't die at the hands of the corded phone.
But it was cordless. It was ringing in his car, not plugged up.
But
So therefore, it was
cord.
The
killed him.
handset had a cord.
And they never explained what was controlling it.
Well, because they don't
obviously-
explain fucking shit in this movie.
Obviously, the skull went to go do something, and then we lost it on the road trip home, I guess. I mean...
No, it was one of the 2 hopping vampires. It just came back.
So they go invisible. They're invisible men as well as vampires because someone had to grab the cord and strangle him. How did the cord come alive? That's what I want
Was
to know.
the spirit
that's
of
the
the
beast.
vampire beast inside the phone?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
In a corded phone, the vampire beast strangled the guy.
I mean,
Yes.
I know
Not plugged in.
we're not making any money here, but somebody is paying you to say these things. Is Godfrey Ho paying you?
Are you getting commission on the side?
I'm just an Edgar Jari fan. I mean, he had an impossible task to wrap up a trilogy in one film.
Didn't wrap it up. It didn't connect.
He wrapped the driver's neck up.
I can't
Back to
argue
you
that.
said we're remaking this or
You did
retooling it or rebooting it. There is absolutely no way that these movies, at least the second 2, are not in the public domain. So
I want to find the people. I want to look and see how many likes are.
I could see Brie Larson and Nicole Kidman playing Cindy and
God, no.
Brie Larson and Nicole
Joyce.
Kidman. First of all, they're very far apart in age. And I don't
It doesn't mean that Joyce and Cindy can't be.
I mean,
Well, I'm
that's
just
true.
saying.
That's true. You did hear Cindy's voice. It was an older voice.
It was a man's voice.
But older and maybe a smoker, possibly. She did smoke, I think. Okay,
maybe
so...
Kathleen Turner
I would like to know.
in the bikini.
I personally would like to go back and look and see
All right.
because I mentioned this. Like, I want to know, like, if did any of this really happen based on the last Emperor movie that won all the Oscars? Was there really another production that was going to be maybe as good that got shut down, and people were killed because of that movie?
10,000 views. 10,000 views.
Of what?
Robo Vampire 3 has
On YouTube?
10,000 views.
And after this, it's probably going to double.
92 thumbs up. 20 thumbs down.
That's
Okay,
a really
hang on.
bad ratio, too.
21 thumbs down. I just thumbs down. That's
So about 85.
1.48 million subscribers for the Wu-Tang Collection.
So about 85% approval rating on this film.
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
I think the logic there is people just like liking it for a free movie to watch, not liking the quality.
You
of
guys did.
I did. I think I liked it on there when I started watching it, not knowing what I was getting into here.
I have disliked it. I have thumbs downed it. Yes, I did thumbs down your movie if you watch this.
Godfrey, what the fuck, man? What was that? What did we just watch? It was 90 minutes, man. I'll never get that back. I could have watched like 3 episodes of Thundercats. Come on! I should have drank before watching it. What the fuck?
I hope he
That's
sees
why
this.
he teaches cinema at a film school and not you.
Yeah, that's correct. I do not teach at all. But give me a camera.
I want one of his students to be like, "Hey, we need to reboot this."
Give me a camera, and I guarantee you, I can film something with my
You've
freaking
got a-
cell
let's say,
phone
You got a good phone here with a good camera on it.
better than that movie.
We could take the basic outline of this movie, write a more competent script based on that, film it with just the 3 of us,
and
maybe
it will
a
be
few other
10
people
times
to
We
better.
fill in
don't
other
own the
roles.
rights; they are too expensive.
It's not right. Nobody owns this.
We have to buy like 9 different movies to be able to. Because like
The only
there's like
person
3
that's going to
movies-
push back on this is probably going to be fucking Warner Brothers or whoever the hell MGM who owns the rights to RoboCop.
No, the Wu-Tang Clan will come after us.
And fucking New Line / Warner Brothers for the Nightmare on Elm Street knockoff. But nobody that owns this movie is going to give a shit.
Peter Weller will like be all up in her face.
quietly or there will be trouble.
Treble. Treble?
Treble.
Class.
Tribbles? The trouble with tribbles?
Andy Bernard. Here comes Treble. Class of, what, 96? 86?
I drank that shit way too fast.
So that's talking, not you. So you possibly may enjoy this.
No. This is just letting me say it more loudly.
Gotcha. Okay, roger that.
I did have more before we started recording, too, because I knew I wouldn't get through this if I hadn't.
It's terrible.
Just saying that didn't do this. The movie did this.
The movie.
Godfrey Ho did this. Dixon and
remember,
Lawrence did this.
It was Cindy and Joyce.
Cindy and Joyce did it.
Cindy and Joyce did this.
He didn't have any enemies because I brought him from abroad.
Abroad.
Any other obvious questions?
God, this movie. I even told my wife, she woke up. Shout out to Marina. She woke up to go use the restroom. And I had turned it to Tremors 2. Thank God. So much better. And, throwback to Tremors. Fantastic. Yeah,
Fun franchise, yeah.
It was fun. It was very fun.
It's the 4th prequel.
So she goes, no, there's 7 now.
Yeah, but it's the 4th
Or 7.
prequel that's set in past.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, wait.
The giant worms.
I think fourth is. Wait a minute, because third is the butt blasters.
And then the fourth has got to be the one that's set in like the Wild West kind of setting.
And then the fifth, I can't remember. Sixth is the newest one, The Cold Day in Hell.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about movies.
Okay, but anyways, Marina wakes up. I'm starting Tremors 2. Because, and she goes, babe, like, what are you doing? I said, trying to get my life back. From the last 90 minutes, and I told her about it, and
She stayed up and watched it.
Robo Vampire 3?
Yes.
No.
Well, you didn't tell her about it then.
I wish I'd watched something after this, because I watched it last night, and then I went to bed. Almost immediately after.
I started Tremors 2. I was like,
I watched it twice. I watched the last 10 minutes about 6 or 7 times.
'Cause I only slept for like 5.5 hours, and
Nope.
then I had to do this shit.
Because of the adrenaline rush.
If anybody's wondering, I don't smoke, but I've got allergies, and they're wreaking havoc on me right now, so I can't even breathe, and I'm like laughing at how terrible this is.
Yeah, your allergies are kicking in right after you watch Joyce and Cindy.
I'm allergic to how fucking terrible Godfrey Ho is.
This movie is nothing to sneeze at.
Oh.
Okay, so you gave it a 4. Only because
And the trilogy is 7.5 overall.
But the
what
movie
about the trilogy?
Would, the movie
what about the
would
trilogy
be,
rating?
The movie would be higher if it wasn't so much horror element, right?
Yeah, I just don't like the horror. If it,
That's why it's so low.
So without the Freddy Krueger shit, where would you rate it?
Yeah, if it didn't have the horror element,
it would
it
be
was
like a 6 or 7.
Where do you rate the Where do you rate the whole series, Gabe?
the whole series.
7.5 for the
and
series.
that's weighted because of how bad this one is.
So the whole series.
It's got to be negative since he only rated
The whole
positive 5,
trilogy.
positive to 5, and then
The whole trilogy.
negative 10.
Well, he can go back on that because now he's changed his ranking system. Where would you, with your newfound ranking system, where would you rank the first one? Out of 10.
Out of 10. 2.
2? What about the second one?
2.5.
Is the second one better than the first now? Third. Negative 10 still?
Negative 10.
So where does this franchise sit?
Negative 5.
Negative 5.
Well, even combined, it's negative 5.5. Shouldn't it be an average?
No, negative
Like
5.
Negative 1.
Let's just push it to negative 6. Honestly. Or negative 9.5. There you go.
This third one is so bad it drags everything down into the depths of hell.
It doesn't.
Wow.
It doesn't like join the other ones. It doesn't complete anything. It doesn't finish anything. It sucks. It sucks. Not
Except for the
because
last
there's
10 minutes.
vampires in it. Is why it sucks. It just
Because there's
sucks.
vampires in like 20% of the damn movie because the other fucking 80% is this stupid subplot that has nothing
makes
to do
no
with it.
sense. And the vampires don't suck in this. They are zombies.
Yeah, they just eat. That was like that in the first one, too.
That's true.
So
that's true.
I think that's just a very...
So he is consistent with his vampires, except they have flat paper teeth that move around like this.
Godfrey Ho, I think, has a terrible understanding of what the fuck a vampire is.
And the main vampire has no vampire teeth. He has claws. No,
At least he didn't shoot sparks out of his fingers.
no, but the Hulk zombie sparkled
out
the
of his
ground.
footprints. Not even out of his feet. It's after he steps they spark.
It's like, and you're like, huh?
what is going on?
Yeah, so that's that.
So I think we've
Trilogy.
addressed this before, but I don't remember exactly what I ranked the previous movies. But right now, I'd rank the second movie a 2, the first movie a 1,
Okay.
this movie a 0, the franchise as a whole because of that a 1 because it's in the middle.
Okay. All right. So 4 from the Jedi Troll. 7 for the trilogy. 7.5. Whatever. 10. Whatever. He loves it. 0, 1, 2. Yeah. Okay.
It's just garbage, man. It's really the
It was
lowest
bad. It was
form
bad.
of garbage. Like, I think the second one functioned almost on a level of so bad it's good.
You know what? I do recommend this third one. Please watch it or start it just to see what we're talking about.
Make it to the 35
Skip
minute mark.
through it just to see different parts. You don't even have to watch it. Just go on YouTube, find Robo Vampire 3, and just skim through it, watch it, just to see what we're talking about. It is what we're talking about.
If you've been teetering on the edge and dabbling with the idea of suicide, and you need something to give you the courage to get over that fucking ledge, watch this movie, and there will be no doubt
if you do deal with
there's
stuff like
no
that,
good
don't watch
left
this
in the
movie.
world.
But just go see what we're talking about.
It's
You don't have to watch it. Just skim through it. Jump to the end, like they were talking about.
Watch the last
fight.
10 minutes of the movie.
But skim through the middle, bits and pieces. Watch the beginning, and
And then
So
under
bad.
and then under the feedback for Disney Plus, ask them to buy the rights to this
Shut up.
to make a series
shut up. A series, Disney Plus to make a series.
every Friday.
So who would Pedro Pascal play in a Disney Plus remake of this series?
Well, he's busy with another series.
I know, but I'm just saying because he's the star of Disney's first successful...
Dixon.
I would like to see Donnie Yen in a Disney Plus series based on this franchise.
So if we remade this as a more cohesive, more thought out, like if we thought about this as a 3-film trilogy with a 3-act structure and tied the plots of all 3 of these movies together in a way that made more sense, and Dixon, Alex, and Tom were the same character somehow, who would you cast as the lead?
Fart. Jude Law.
Tom in the first one, Brad Pitt.
Well, I'm saying same actor. Like if this was somehow the same character because he's
Well,
the
you just said they have 3 different names. How can it be the same?
Well, think of it as like a quantum leap kind of thing.
Or like a
Scott Bakula.
Like an actual trilogy.
Yeah. So think of it like if this was
Okay.
actually connected in some way. The same actor.
Well, Josh Whedon would direct it.
Joss Whedon's your pick. For
Yep. To
Writer and
direct
director.
this. Yes. Go Josh Whedon. If you pick it up, kudos because it will be fantastic.
I don't even know if Joss can salvage this shit.
No.
Couldn't Justice League.
That's not his fault. That
No,
shit
it's
was
Zack
a fucking
Snyder's
mess.
fault. Zack
No, that's
Snyder's
Warner's fault. We're not going to talk about that because this is bad movie club, not bad studio club.
So we can talk about Justice League. In whatever cut they release.
So your pick is Joss Whedon to write and direct. Who's your star?
Direct. The star. Oh, he's got to be, semi-young, I was thinking maybe Zac Efron.
Fuck you, kid.
I'm just kidding. Let's see.
I'm sure that cough is spiking the fucking mic.
You know who would do really good? Leonardo DiCaprio. But
DiCaprio?
There's my actor. There's my actor for
Do you
it.
think he has the martial arts ability?
I mean, yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? You could also pick like Jet Li. Jet Li would be pretty awesome.
He's a little old for it, though.
Yeah, well, CGI.
Have you seen him recently?
Is he old?
Yeah,
But
he's
none of
a little
them
rough.
in the trilogy, none of them are Asian.
Yeah, the protagonist is
Still,
not typically.
it's Jet Li.
I would go for
Director.
I'd probably what's his name, Garth Evans, who did the Raid movies. That's my pick because that way the martial arts and stuff are on point.
Okay.
And then for star, Scott Adkins, white dude, does martial arts.
Crap, man, I love him in Undisputed.
Yeah. So
God,
Scott
I
Adkins
love
as
him
the
in-
star.
I love him.
as
I'm sorry.
Tom.
They're bad movies, but they're great movies. I love
Have you ever
the
seen his
Undisputed.
ninja movies?
Uh-uh.
He does his movie called Ninja and Ninja 2
Is it
that
good?
he's the star of. Freaking awesome. And like for
I'm a
just
fan of the
cheesy
Undisputed,
martial arts
so-
stuff with him as the lead, so good.
Yuri Boyka.
So Scott Adkins is the star.
Touche.
Ray
man.
Dude as the
I like that.
director. Steve?
Director and cast. Or main.
I'd like to see Chris Evans in a new franchise. And I think since you all are so concerned with the movies not being connected or making any sense, Christopher Nolan.
Nolan.
I mean, I accept that. That's
That way he would add some legitimacy to your...
Nolan did a trilogy. Everybody loved that trilogy.
Yeah, you know what I thought Steve was going to say? I wouldn't pick anybody because they're fantastic the way they are.
Godfrey Ho. Godfrey Ho will remake this franchise and it'll be better than it ever was before.
But I'm glad he didn't.
Christopher Nolan directing and
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. I like that. I like that.
Chris Evans is kind of on a weird path after Marvel. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Knives Out and then...
He can't get weirder than this path.
Did you ever see Snowpiercer or whatever it is?
Oh, I fucking love Snowpiercer.
It was great.
That's the
He did
director
awesome.
of Parasite and Oakjaw and The
He did
Host.
awesome. He did.
Yeah,
Chris
he's a
Evans did
phenomenal
awesome.
director.
And the director, yeah.
Yeah, Chris Evans was great in the thing. It's like really against type.
I was watching Superman. Come on.
Brandon Routh,
No.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah, Cavill.
George Reeves.
I was watching him in this one film where he's a cop.
Oh, wasn't it that one that we were talking about?
Yes.
That we saw at Walmart.
It,
Me and Steve saw it at Walmart, and you were looking at like the figures or posters or something.
maybe. I've been watching it. I haven't finished it yet.
The Witcher.
No.
Which was
fantastic. But it's a movie on Netflix, I think. And he's a cop. And Alexandria Daddario is in it. So is, what's his name? Played in Shutter Island with...
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Ruffalo?
No.
DiCaprio? I don't know.
Dang
Who
it.
else was in Shutter Island?
I
I
don't-
haven't seen it in a minute.
I don't remember
Elias.
what it's called.
Whatever his fucking name is.
But it's on Netflix, and Henry Cavill is doing fantastic. Fantastic in it. I forgot what it's called. He's a cop.
I remember you messaged about watching that on there.
He has a beard and longer hair. He's doing...
I like Henry.
Yeah,
I
he's
think
good
he's
actor.
finally, with Witcher, he's kind of breaking
God,
out of
he
like
kills
the
it, man.
pretty boy Superman thing.
Kills it. Fantastic acting,
I'll let you-
boys.
You guys have anything? Yeah, fucking awesome in Mission Impossible, man.
He did good.
Cocking
He
those
really
arms
did
like that,
good.
that fight scene.
He really did good.
Anybody got anything else they want to say about the movie before we wrap this up?
Nope.
Steve, since you have passionately spoken on behalf of Godfrey Ho and all that is Robo Vampire.
I'm not going to say anything else because you'll just like this.
No, I'm done. I'm done saying
Yep, I'm
anything
done.
about this. It has
Done.
consumed
It's
enough of
over.
my life. What do we want to do next time? Because I don't know what our filming schedule will be.
Are we doing Miami Connection?
Miami Connection, man. That trailer looked pretty...
All right. Miami
Connection? All right.
That's it.
Make sure you guys tune in next time where our bad movie will be the Miami Connection. It's on Prime, right? Was it? It might be on Prime. It's
on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, so watch it on YouTube. Give us a like on Facebook. Follow each one of us on Twitter. Subscribe on YouTube.
Swipe right on Tinder.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace out.
What? He's saying what to do on apps.
Are you on Tinder?
Swipe right on Tinder.
I want to swipe left.
Oh.
Oh my God.